This week, we're diving into our reactions to the announcement of Life is Strange Reunion. Join us for our predictions, hopes, and dreams for the final entry in the Life is Strange saga on this week's HGO podcast. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. One of your hosts today, Ethan. Joining me, as always, is my good friend Hunter. Hey, Hunter, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing just swell.
How you feeling, Hunter? Over or under, did you think we'd be coming back to the announcement of a new Life is Strange game that's coming out in 2 months' time? How do you feel about that right now?
I definitely didn't expect that to be so early in the year, both announcement and release, let me tell you.
I know, right? It's like, it's one of those like weird things. Obviously, we've had a couple of episodes this year where could have brought it up. One of them would be the fantasy draft. I've known for a little bit that there'd be a Life is Strange thing this year, just because there's been that many rumors and rumblings. It's been a terribly kept secret by Deck 9 that this game was in development. But even I was sitting there going, this Life is Strange is like a second half of the year thing. That's a September problem, you know. That's not a March thing, but apparently it is, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently it is. I'm celebrating by wearing this. Oh, it's on this side. I've got my double exposure jacket here that I bought for the cosplay thing that we were doing, like not last year, the year before, when double exposure came out, and it came like 3 weeks after the the episode where we did it. So that was a great purchase.
Right.
So I'm now gonna wear it on this predictions episode and when the game comes out. So deal with that, nerds.
That's
I'm
the
getting my
spirit.
money's worth.
It's like how the Vincent costume comes out every time we have a Final Fantasy thing now
Dude,
for me.
it's a nice coat. I could wear this at like full events. It's nice. It's only got like the one kind of like weird little Life is Strange
Oh yeah, the
patch on
weird
it.
little sticker that doesn't that looks like it comes off.
It's not a sticker. It is actually a properly sewn on patch. So it is a sewn on patch.
Oh,
I will give it. It was not a cheap knockoff. This is like official merchandise. This was like an insert coin kind of deal. Not sponsored, by the way.
okay.
Definitely not sponsored. That postage on on our website is abysmal. So they need to sort that out. But yeah, welcome in everybody. It's time for another Life is Strange episode. Maybe the last Life is Strange predictions, hopes, and dreams we will ever do on the HGO podcast. Not because the podcast is ending, just because the franchise likely is. So this week we're going to talk about everything. We're going to give our reactions of the initial presentation of the trailers, and then we're going to dive into more of our predictions, hopes, and dreams, as we tend to do with upcoming releases that we are hotly anticipating, give you our kind of thoughts on where we think this final outing for Max and, spoiler alert, Chloe is going to go. So yeah, if that sounds like it's up your alley, you're in the right place, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new here, we're here every Monday around 12 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time. You can tell I've had a couple of weeks off, can't you? On YouTube and on podcast services. And hey, if you're new here, hit subscribe. We're really close to 600 subscribers, so if you could help us get to that mark, that
We
would
are
be
getting there.
fantastic. There's plenty of Life is Strange content coming up. We love doing spoiler casts. We love doing first impressions for it. And hey,
If we do one spoiler cast this year, it'll be for this game.
there are no early play periods. There's no special editions. There's no pre-release rubbish this time around. We will be playing all of it at the same time. So if you would like to hop in on the bandwagon, come join us. It's going to be hopefully a good time. Fingers crossed. We'll see. You know what, Hunter? We've had a couple of weeks off, and we hope you've been enjoying the kind of filler content that we've been doing over the past couple of weeks. But I don't have time for spiels. I don't have it in me. I'm not, warmed up. So
Reasonable.
I think that we just dive straight into it. Life is Strange Reunion reactions. My first reaction to Life is Strange Reunion is I really don't like the name. That's my first reaction, and it's a very
We're
petty
crossing
one.
waters with Final Fantasy. You can't do that.
I guess it's knocked that off because it's Square Enix as well. It's probably knocked that out of the running as well. If anyone was still thinking that Reunion was going to come out of, the grave of Crisis Core and all that jazz.
Listen,
it's like, no.
I still wouldn't put it past them. Is the worst part.
It wouldn't surprise me either, to be honest. But I think Here's the thing, whether you like or dislike Double Exposure, I'm still a pretty big fan of that name for the game because I was like, it's it's a photography pun. It's it works
Yeah.
quite well for the whole kind of gimmick. Whereas Reunion just doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like a Life is Strange, True Colors, Double Exposure. Like it doesn't sound I don't know why I'm just used to at least two-word subtitles for Life is Strange games, or Before the Storm. I expect a little bit more, like
Yeah.
it's gonna take some use to getting yeah, it's gonna take some getting used to. That's all I'll say there. Um, Trailer though, it was an interesting one. Obviously, they did the whole similar to what they did for Double Exposure after the reveal. They had a whole like Nintendo Direct style presentation where they just do a deep dive with some of the actors to kind of go through what is happening in the world of Life is Strange this time. What did you feel about the trailer overall?
So it's funny because prior to the trailer, like we had been chatting about the rumblings of this game for
Mm.
6 months to a year at this point, I feel like. And
I've known
it
too
was
much about
always
this game for a long time. I'll
yeah.
preface this. I do not know anything about story spoilers in terms of what actually happens in this video game, but I've known for a while that the plan was to bring Chloe back and basically do a bit of a U-turn on where the Double Exposure original ending was kind of going. We've been talking about this for like 6 to 12 months at this point behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it's like we've known
So
it's coming.
so like in it always felt like this fifth game was this specter of inevitability where we're
It's
both
like a
sitting there
bad
going,
omen, wasn't it? It was like yeah, it was like a ghost that you just knew was gonna come out of the
It,
closet eventually.
and to the credit of the trailer, watching the trailer didn't feel like I didn't feel the same way you would think I would feel about the game that had the bad vibes right prior to it. I think the trailer was relatively well constructed, all things considered. I don't know if that necessarily means I think this game's going to blow the doors off of things or be, you know, the best one in the series or anything like that. But, you know, it
Yeah.
was a good trailer, I think.
I think it was a pretty serviceable trailer. We can get into what we feel about the return of Chloe and all of that in a little bit. But as a trailer goes, I remember saying to you, I was watching the live stream, I had it on. There was a little countdown beforehand with some very Life is Strange 1 inspired kind of guitar music playing in the background, and it was doing little flashbacks to Chloe and Max from Before the Storm and from Life is Strange 1. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I hate this because, like, I'm a dirty little consumer because it's like the second half of Double Exposure really disappointed me, and you can go back and check our podcasts on that. It went from a glowing review of episodes 1 and 2 to a scathing review of my actual final review that went up. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel like with a lot of other games and a lot of other franchises, I'd sit there and I go, "Ooh, I'm gonna wait and see what the judge's vote is on that, what the jury rings out on." Um, but I watch one of these trailers and I go, "It could still be terrible," but there I am going on the Square Enix website and pre-ordering the game straight away like a filthy little consumer because the first Life is Strange means a lot to me. It does, and there's nothing I would like more than for Square Enix to leave these characters the hell alone. There is nothing I'd like more, if I'm honest. I would have taken on True Colors, kind of new character, new power, new story over what we're doing here, really, which just kind of feels like a nostalgia kind of pander. But it's like I've got to say, like it's almost like Assassin's Creed in a way where it's like through thick and thin, I will I'm gonna have to kind of truck
Gotta do it.
along, and I can't find out secondhand if the game's good or bad. I've got to go into the mines myself and dig it up and find what's lurking beneath. And I think the trailer for the most part did a fairly decent enough job for me to go, okay, you're slightly winning my trust back a little. I'm still very hesitant on this game because of the way the second half of Double Exposure ended up. It's just
Yeah.
it's going to be hard to shake, he says, wearing the flipping jacket and having bought us a lot of double exposure things. Um, it's going to be hard to regain that trust, and they're trying to. They've brought the one of the vocal directors for this game is one of the lead writers from Before the Storm. They're trying to really like go, listen, we're bringing back a lot of people that have worked on this in the past. And I'm like, that's all well and good, but it's like, you're really gonna have to prove it to me when I play this game. It's gonna be an uphill battle for this game. It just is. And I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt. I'm willing to go in with an open mind and go, okay, redeem, do it. There's nothing I'd like to more than to come back and go, we have played Life is Strange Reunion, and it's, it's redeemed that second half of double exposure. It's now, this is the second part of that story, and it's kind of smoothed over that bumpy road. It was a
Yeah,
trough,
yeah,
and it's picked itself back up.
you'd like to think it would do that. It is weird though, like, this doesn't feel like what the follow-up to Double Exposure naturally would be. I don't necessarily care because I didn't really like where the end of Double Exposure was going.
No.
So,
And
I'm open to this more so than probably like I think when I've read a few weeks ago or whatever when the ESRB rating synopsis
yeah,
talked
when
about
Peggy
Chloe
did the
coming
goof,
back
yeah.
or whatever, and I was like, I don't, I must have like glossed over whatever part of mention of Caledon or whatever was there. I'm like, oh, gonna be like Safi comes out at the post-credit scene and collects Chloe's ashes for the second time or something like an infinity stone. And that was
Ah,
not what
yes.
happened in the trailer, you know. At least I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I think that it's interesting, right? This game was always going to be made. It was always a part of a deal with Square. It was for 2 games. Um, a lot of people are saying, "Hey, it's only been a year and a half. It's been a short period of time for this game to be made, especially considering there was a 3-year gap between um,
True
True Colors and
colors and
Double
double
Exposure."
exposure.
Um, I can tell you that half of the reason for that is because both games were being at least worked on and prototyped at the same-ish time. There was, the plan was always to make 2 games.
Yeah,
Um,
it's almost like the kind of Netflix show thing where a lot of times they'll do 2 seasons and then where it's really just 1 season that they cut in
but they split it
half
in half,
and
yeah.
then give you the other one in the year.
And I can tell you for a fact that a lot of that second half has definitely been changed thanks to the mixed reception of Double Exposure. I can tell you that for a fact. But it's going to be interesting how much of this game, because I think a lot of the things that we disliked about it was the same like 3 play spaces. There wasn't much to Caledon. It was literally just like the outside area with the frozen pond. There was the main like kind of campus building that you were in, and it was Max's house, and that was about it. There were a couple of like forest paths and little bits and pieces there, but that was really kind of it. You didn't get
Yeah.
anywhere else. So there's a part of me that's like, oh, I hope we get to see a lot more of Caledon this time. But there's also the other part of me that's thinking, oh, is it just going to be the same areas but with a fall aesthetic this time instead of a winter one? Like, is that the idea?
I have
Um,
to expect they'll be going other places now too. Like it feels like you can't just have Chloe be trespassing the whole time, can you?
it wouldn't stop it. It's not stopped it before. Um,
Yeah.
But specifically, before we head into like predictions territory and stuff like that, I think that from the trailer, it did a lot to, kind of set expectations, the whole from the presentation. I think they're handling bringing Chloe back as best as you can. I think I still think it's extremely fan fictiony, but I
Yeah.
think they're trying to do what with that premise what they can. I think the whole idea of when Max merged the timelines at the end of Double Exposure, it brought Chloe back and she can remember both. But your Max is your Max. That's what they're basically doing. Is your Max is your Max. I'm like,
Yeah, it's weird,
okay.
isn't it? Why would Max not, as the person who did it, also get the memories of both things? It's a weird explanation. And I also kind of have beef with the like marketing speak they're doing with it, where it's like, "Oh, the Max and Chloe saga." Dude, chill out. They were hanging out for one game.
It's the Max and Chloe saga where they were together for one
Where
game and
the
apart for
ending in the
two.
first game was the best possible ending you could have for it.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about timelines? Is Rachel Amber alive now as well because all the timelines merged? Like, this is what we're talking about, you know? It's like it's it's a bit messy. There's interesting things that they're doing there where it's like, um are they retconning a bit of Life is Strange 2? I know you haven't played it, but those, the grave flips from Joyce to Chloe based on those two universes, and it was kind of
Yeah.
implied that Joyce survived with the storm if the storm happened in Life is Strange 2. There was a bit of an implication there. So have they changed their mind on that? Is it just that in those 6 or 7 years between Life is Strange and this that
Maybe
she
someone just
died?
forgot.
She just passed away. She's just gone. Like,
Yeah.
rest in peace, Joyce, I guess. Um yeah. I don't know. It's interesting. I think there's a lot of balls to juggle. That's my only my only kind of like bringing all these double exposure characters back and then having this whole Chloe's return, trying to resolve that and bring that back in a good way, and this mystery of the fire and this cult at Caledon University and all that jazz. It seems like a lot. And
Yeah.
with how double exposure just kept adding and adding and adding and then never actually giving a satisfying payoff, it already feels like they're going in a similar direction where it's just like, and now there's this, and Moses thinks this, and oh look, all the relationship options from double exposure are back, but also you now have Chloe as a relationship option. So, and it's like, and you've got to make all these choices at the start, and it shows you like these 16 different checkboxes that you've got to go friends with them, romance them, hate them. It's like you got to fill in a tax return before you play the video game because you got to like select all your choices. And I'm like, I don't know if there is a way that you can satisfyingly pay this off, especially as the ending of Max and Chloe. I don't know if it's possible, but
Yeah, it's a really hard sell when the ending of Max and Chloe was the end of the first game. But
yeah.
also, like, to do this, like, this kind of thing, I feel like would seem kind of feasible if it was done with intention from the outset
Hmm.
back during the development of Life is Strange 1, like the way that the Mass Effect trilogy was
Yeah, yeah.
developed in a way where it's like things carry over from game to game because that's how they wanted it to be, not 10 years after the fact.
Yeah. Um, which again, it's because Life is Strange was never built to be this. That's the problem. Is Life
Yeah.
is Strange was built to be very. Again, I find it hard. They're trying to have their cake and eat it too. Oh my, Chloe's alive from both timelines. They were kind of. I don't know. It's like it kind of, like I say, it kind of feels like a cop out. If you chose to save Arcadia Bay, it feels like a cop out because it's like, oh, now Max has got a best friend back. So now there might be like, there's gonna have to be a like, we were joking about what if they give you the option to kill her, to save someone, to save Caledon or save the thing again. But I'm like, because technically Arcadia Bay is now back in the timeline as well because the
Yeah.
timelines have merged. So I'm sitting there and going, so basically you're saying there were no repercussions for Life is Strange 1 now, other than Chloe has this PTSD of having both lived both versions of it in her head. So there's got to be some kind of grand kind of ultimatum here, or else there is literally no kind of weight to this at all.
Yeah, it's really weird that the like to be the grand finale ending the two characters deserve game is probably going to end with the exact same choice,
Yeah, probably.
but in different circumstances. And be like, well, you could have just not.
Hmm. Which, like, as someone who plays Max as friends with everybody, really, I don't really romance anybody as Max, really.
Yep.
Um, which is, I know that's a controversial take in of itself. Sorry, Pricefield shippers or whatever, but not really my jam. Not gonna lie, I'm a bit of a,
Max's
Chloe.
options have never been the greatest,
I'm a
to
bit of
be
a,
fair.
I'm a bit of a Chloe and Rachel like fan. I like that kind of dynamic that they had, even though it was extremely unhealthy. I'm a big fan of that, to be honest. and every
Yeah,
other
yeah.
option that Max has had under the sun is just abysmal. So it's like
Yeah, it's not great. Like,
I stand a
the
bi
guy.
protagonist, but when the options are this bad, dude, I'm sitting there just waving by, dude. Like it's
Yeah,
just,
yeah.
it's not
Buy with
happening.
YE
Yeah,
instead.
definitely.
Who's the okay? I don't even remember the second option in
Vin and
Double
Amanda.
Exposure.
It was Vin and
Oh,
Amanda, wasn't
Amanda.
it? Yeah,
Okay.
they were both pretty mediocre, to be honest. I'll be ticking the
Yeah.
friend zone box in all of those categories when we play this game in March. Um, but
Imagine
yeah,
if like those options still being on the table this
mhm,
time, even if you didn't do
yeah,
them the prior time. Now it's gonna be like, hey, I changed my mind. Imagine that.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I last thing before we get into our predictions, our hopes, and our dreams. Um, obviously, the other big thing they announced, Ashley is not returning. It is the voice actor from Before the Storm, which I think is the
Yeah, I
second
guess
best
that's
option.
about what you could expect.
It's a returning cast member, which is better than in Double Exposure. They just had some random person playing Chloe in those few little flashback scenes, and that was an awful voice for her. Like it didn't even sound
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
like her. Um, so I liked Chloe in Before the Storm. I think it was a pretty good. I don't think you're ever going to
Yeah, it
match
was a good
Ashley Birch, but it was a
performance.
pretty good performance. It was a pretty good attempt at it, and she sounds more like Chloe now than she did in Before
Yeah.
the Storm. It was one of those ones where I genuinely did have to wait for them to tell me who it was because I was like, that could be Ashley. It doesn't. I'm like, I'm not 100%, but I'm like, it's pretty close. I was sitting there going, it's pretty close. And also, Ashley hasn't done Chloe in a while, so I'm like, you know what I mean? It's like I was like, is
Yeah,
it? Is
yeah.
it not? Like, it's a tough one. Um, and I'm glad that she's back with her back talk and all that jazz. You're gonna play as her a bit. I'm like, that's an interesting kind of idea of having both of them playable. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Although I was never super big on the back talk thing as a mechanic, but
I'm hoping it works a little bit better this time, but also,
yeah, hopefully
it
they've
looks very
refined it.
similar. Um, Chloe seems to still be acting like a 16-year-old self, which I think some people were like, that's very out of character. I'm like, actually, no, to me, that
I
feels
don't
like very
know. It
in
feels
character
like
for
it's
Chloe.
in character for her to not have grown up very much
Yeah.
in the time since.
Yeah. So yeah, fair enough. I'm interested. Obviously, we don't have to wait that long to find out more and play it for ourselves. It's out in March, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll be covering it extensively, I'm sure. Um, let's stop talking about the facts and let's move into the kind of theory section of the episode. Um, if you're new here, we like to not just talk about what we've seen, but also just kind of talk about what we hope for, like what we predict is going to happen in this game, what we're gonna kind of what we're looking to see in Life is Strange Reunion. Um, my first like kind of hope and dream hunter is that it's actually good.
Yeah.
I know it's a harsh one to start with, but it's like here's the problem, right? Is this I don't think there's ever been a good, truly good last episode of a Life is Strange game. There just never really has. It's never really stuck the landing in any iteration. Even in like
Yeah.
True Colors, it still
True
feels a bit
Colors was the
like
least offensive, but that was more like good enough rather than like, oh, nailed it.
and you're still sitting there going, "Really, Ryan? Your dad just literally pushed somebody down a mine shaft and you're still going, "Oh, I don't know." Like it's like you're just sitting there, you're still like, "Really? Really?"
Yeah.
Um So, yeah, it's just I hope it sticks the landing. I hope it has reveal. I hope the story is interesting and it has an actual narrative to it that isn't just like I assume one of the reasons that, my guess is it's going to be like, "Oh, Chloe's back. Why?" And it's not just going to be the timelines. It's going to be my assumption is similar to the original Life is Strange. There's a reason of fate why everything has come to be this way. Is there's going to be this big
Yeah.
kind of ending kind of thing, whether it's the storm again or whatever it is. There's going to be something there's the reason that these two characters have come back together. Um,
Yeah.
and I hope it pays off. The last thing that I want, and I don't want to again sound like the biggest like hater when it comes to like shipping, is I don't want this to necessarily just be an easy happy ending. I really don't. I don't want this to be an easy happy ending.
That would be really lame, especially because, like, the whole reason that the end of the first game works so well is, like, it's the most bang on 50-50
Yeah.
uh, multiple choice ending you've ever given in a game.
People have
Like, just
not
as
been
many
more
people.
split. I know a lot of the vocal online community is sitting there, bay shippers till they die. But when you go into the normie, you go into the normie zone and you actually check the stats, especially on the original Life is Strange, it was like always neck and neck. It was always like 51-49 or, extremely close. And I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever seen a choice based narrative adventure game have so close a choice at the end.
yeah,
Uh, and whether and for people to be so passionate about it as well. Like there are people who are extremely passionate about saving Chloe over saving Arcadia Bay. There are people like us who are extremely passionate about saving Arcadia Bay over saving
who are
Chloe.
right.
Who are who
Yeah.
are right, yeah. Um, Funny enough, you can love Chloe as a character and also sacrifice her at the end of the video game.
Yeah,
It
you
is
can still
possible,
see what the narrative integrity of the story is,
100%.
you know?
Um,
Uh,
so it's like, to me, ending this in a happy ending of having it be they roll off into the sunset happily ever after is lame. It really is. If that's an option, there has to be a huge sacrifice to get there.
yeah. I feel like rather
My
than
my you
doing
know what
that,
my prediction is, if I was being right, I don't think they'll do it because they'd get
kill
absolute
Max this
backlash.
time
Kill
instead.
Max or kill Chloe. I feel like that's
Uh,
the two
uh,
options. Is one of them sacrifices themselves. That would
yeah.
be the big one. If they did
No, they're
that,
both fair
I
characters,
would that would be like a chef's kiss moment, not from a good narrative point of view, but just from I cannot wait to go onto social media after playing
yeah.
straight
I feel
on
like
the
you could still
socials.
make a good narrative out of that if that's, like, if you
Mhm.
worked if that's, like, what you were gonna do and you worked backwards from it, you
I
know?
think, yeah.
Like
I don't know. I think they're
like,
too coward. I think the problem with Deck
yeah.
Nine, and it's always been the problem with Deck Nine, is they're too scared of the fan base. It feels like a lot of the stuff that they make um, is very kind
Wishy-washy.
of wishy-washy and very much kind of like, oh well, we don't want to anger this subset of the fan base, and we don't want to do this to this subset. It's why Double Exposure I think feels so kind of um like it's like it very much is kind of like your cup's a cup half full situation where it is like you've got all these kind of ideas that are really interesting in concept, but then you're like, oh, but
They're being
what if
held
people
back
didn't
by
sacrifice Chloe? What if we
yeah.
didn't, like, I don't know. There's still a part of me that like if you the original plan was that this game was originally going to be set in the other timeline. The comics have a timeline where Chloe lives. The game was originally supposed to be the other timeline of what happened when Chloe died. Um, and I'm gonna be real with you. I still think it would. I think it would have been even more hype for the Chloe fans if they had done this now where the timelines had merged. If Chloe had
Yeah.
come back in this
If
timeline
Chloe
for
was,
this
like,
reason,
canonically dead and then
canonically came
came
back
back, rather
and
than
had
being
the
like, "Oh,
memories
in
of
my
both,
version, meh, meh,
yeah,
meh, meh," you know,
I
I
might
can
have been a little
see
bit more,
what you
yeah.
mean there, you know?
But hey, whatever. I don't mind. But yeah, I just don't see it being that way. I just feel like it's going to be something along the lines of there'll be this big event, it happens, and you'll get your happy ending. And I don't know. I feel like,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really want, like, a fun victory lap
yeah,
romp for the 2 of them, because that feels
wrong. It feels kind of
yeah,
undeserved.
it's yeah, like there's every opportunity to make this like a really cool honed in character study where you give the 2 of them closure while also, you know, acknowledging the tragedy of their situation and
It's
not
also a
just
Deck 9 game.
dismissing it. But it's probably not gonna happen
Mm.
is the problem.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Um, yeah, I hope. My second hope, Hunter, is that it really has a strong kind of narrative through line. I feel like it needs a good mystery behind it, and I don't want it to just be. They kind of teased it in the little presentation they did, where like, who started the fire? Max thinks it was, an arson thing. Chloe thinks it's something else. Or could it be a distraction for something far more sinister? And I'm like, well, that's clearly what it is going to be, is a distraction for something far more sinister. But can it be actually interesting? Please. Can there be
Yeah,
an
that's
actual narrative throughput that actually makes this interesting? It's really difficult. And again,
I
I think that we haven't had it since the original Life is Strange, because I think even True Colors didn't do this particularly well. Um, the mystery behind the missing persons case of Rachel Amber and the reveal of, spoiler alert, if you're this far into a Life is Strange podcast, get some help if you haven't played it. The reveal of Mark Jefferson as the villain
Yeah.
and all that is so so well done. Let's not talk about episode 5 and how it kind of ruins it, but it's such a
Yeah.
really good narrative through line that even though episode 5 was underwhelming, I still don't care when I replay it, and I still go, that is a good little that's a good little kind of
Yeah.
narrative to go through. And none of the Life is Strange games after that have kind of had it. They just haven't. Life is Strange 2 is a road trip, so it never really had that kind of standing power. Before the Storm doesn't have it because it doesn't have enough time to do so. And 2,
No.
it's much more of a kind of character study of Rachel Amber and Chloe, which I'm fine with. I think it's pretty good. I think for a smaller game like that, that works. But for 5 episodes, I need a through line. And I feel like
Yeah.
Double Exposure, we thought it was going to have
Blew
one for the
its
start of
twist
it.
in the
Episode
second
2, yeah.
episode.
Oh, what a twist though. What a twist. Imagine if that came to be something. I saw Max
I know,
Caulfield and
right?
I saw the other Max in the mirror in that trailer hunter, and I was like, are they doing something again? Are they no, probably not, but man can dream. So yeah, I feel like it needs a good throughput. Like it needs a good through line, and I don't like I say, I don't think just having a weird cult is going to do it.
Yeah, especially because it's gonna be like, why didn't this come up
And
before?
I also think it can't just be sappy. I think it needs to be something
Yeah.
that's actually interesting. Because this is what I think is going to happen with the whole Safi. This is my prediction for the whole Safi thing, Hunter. Is going to be something, this whole Caledon thing is going to shit. Oh, I don't want to do this, but there's only one person who we can trust right now, who we need their help, and they go to Safi for help, is what I assume, and they're gonna do the whole Thanos thing of, where does it bring you? Back to me. Like, they're gonna pull that card because they're gonna need her shape-shifting powers or whatever to pretend to be somebody to get in somewhere, is my prediction for that. That'll be my kind of
Yeah.
no Avengers kind of
All
assemble of
all
all
the
the
all the
powers
while
people.
she's like slowly assembled her Magneto team of other people with inexplicable powers.
Yeah, Daniel and Alex Chen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic little bit there. Um, and then if
Diamond
she,
is
if
literally
she betrays them afterwards, in that
indestructible.
point, I think fair enough. That'll be at least a bit more interesting than her just being mustache twirling villain the whole time. But it's like, I think we need something there. Whether that something pays off or not, who knows? But there just needs to be something narratively there this time that's a bit more of a through line. Which is interesting because they haven't given it like you had the whole Safi's dead in one timeline and she might be killed in the other, was the original premise of Double Exposure when they were, trying to solve the murder mystery in one universe to try and prevent it in the other, was the kind of gimmick, like the original kind of
Yeah.
premise. And the premise right now is just, there's a fire in 3 days and Max has gone back in time and Majora's masking it until she gets it right, I assume.
Yeah, and Chloe's back is the part that would be the arguably oversharing, but also like I guess you gotta market it
That's the end of
somehow.
episode 1, isn't it? That's the end of episode 1, is the truck comes in
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
Chloe
know.
stands
It's
there
like
and then it's like,
I
wow.
love how every time they reveal one of these games, I'm always like, but imagine if you didn't tell me that.
Imagine if
beforehand."
Chloe was a surprise.
Imagine if
Could you
she
imagine?
wasn't on the box.
I know, right? That box art kind of looks fan made. I'm not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Like Double Exposure, kind of. I'm like, that's a good box art. I like
It,
that. Whereas
yeah.
this one kind of looks a bit like fan made,
They're
where
like
it's like this.
outside of the
Yeah,
frame of
yeah.
the
It's weird. It's
Polaroid
weird.
in a way
Yeah,
that looks like it was just kind of slapped there.
yeah. It's
I think it would have been cooler if you had like two of them
mhm.
overlapping each other, where
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was like Yeah. Graphic design is my passion.
Um, prediction number 3 for me, Hunter. I predict that there is zero mention of Warren in this video.
Oh. There will at least be no verbal mention of him. I think maybe if you like are vigilant and looking around and reading something, there will be a reference.
What would you do, Hunter, if you get into the game and it was like, here are all your relationship choices in the past, and it mentions Warren in it? What would you do there, dude? What would you do
Oh
there?
God, I would be like, decline. That's what
Get
I
out
did.
of my household, please.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't think there's going to be.
The
I
funniest
think
thing would be like if these years since he became a well-adjusted adult and is like just doing really well for himself.
I think I think the annoying part here is you've got a Chloe that is, from this timeline where everything is, she's lived through everything or whatever. So we're not gonna get that information, where it's like, what I would really love here is I'm hoping that in episode 2 or whatever, there's a big catch up where they catch up on all the stuff that they've missed over the past how many years or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like they're gonna sit there and they're gonna go, well, because
We're also gonna
technically Chloe's already been alive this whole time, so we're not gonna talk about anything that happened afterwards because they were, in one version of the game they were together for a while before that. So I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's
the
an
problem
interesting one.
is like whatever you picked
Hmm.
as the player, you're gonna have to like look at the other version of the scene when you're done.
Yeah.
Get what you
See if you
want to
missed anything.
know.
Yeah. Um. So it'd be interesting because that was like my favorite part. One of my favorite parts of Double Exposure was social media peeping, was looking at what
Yeah,
Victoria Chase and all these other people that Joyce, who was still in there.
yeah.
She wasn't dead in Double Exposure. What the fuck is happening there? Still don't know. Um, have you got a couple of predictions or hopes or dreams, Hunter?
Um, no,
No pressure
as
or
far as
anything.
like kind of already brought up just the general wants as far as like I
Hmm.
think the honed in character study is probably the way to go. I don't know. I hope that characters like Moses aren't just afterthoughts. Like I hope he still gets his just due
Hmm.
rather than just being like, have these other people around to do something rather than just they're the set dressing for the Max and Chloe adventure
Totally.
because they were already here.
Yeah, totally. Um, I agree with that. I also think it's just you kind of again you want a narrative reason for everybody to be there. It's like the whole in the press release and all that stuff. They're like, it's the life and death final adventure for this, and it's like, people can die in this fire. Like, if they're gonna you know if they're gonna, the start of the trailer was your actions have had consequences. And I'm like, no, they haven't. It's very rare in Life is Strange where my actions actually have had consequences. It was
Even
mainly
the one
just,
consequence that it was your undoing.
is Kate alive or dead? And is Chloe alive or dead? And now you've taken that one away from me. So it's like, if you are threatening people can die in this fire, I want you to mean that. I want you to mean that. I genuinely want to sit there and go, uh-oh, I actually might have fucked up here. And I might, I want to actually feel that way. Because there were times in the original Life is Strange where I was sitting there going, am I doing this the right way? Like with the whole Kate thing where I'm like, oh my God, like, am I making the right decisions here? Am I not making the right decisions here? I don't know what I'm doing. Whereas in every other Life is Strange game since then, I'm just like sitting there going, mate, nothing matters. Every like big decision that comes up, it's like, are you going to go for a walk? Are you going to have a shower? Like that's what we've got to at this point with
Yeah.
Life is Strange, where it's like not actual
Did you water the
choices.
plant the second time?
Did you water the plant the third time? Good job, you killed it. Like, you know what I mean? Where it's
Yeah.
like, I would like some actual consequences here. That's what I would
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
see, some actual consequences to the narrative. Um, I think it is going to be a character study, but also I want it to kind of feel worthwhile. Like, I don't want it to just be a, hey, you know, the first line already. You know, it's like Chloe Price was Max's partner in time. It's like if that's all it's gonna be is all that again, and I'm just like, bro, you're like 32 or something at this point.
Partner in time. Yeah,
You know,
the
Max.
description for her is a Ratchet and Clank subtitle.
Yeah, dude, like legitimately, it's like, you know, if we're going off a double exposure timeline, Max was 28. This isn't the next semester, the next year, basically. So she's 29. Chloe's 30.
Yeah.
If they're still talking, like, that's hella cool, bro. Like, you know, like, and they're just talking like that. I'm just like, I would like an actual kind of, like you say, a character study, but also a character study of people who are no longer 18. People who
Yeah,
are
people
like,
who are yeah.
because I think,
Because
you know,
like regardless of what choice you made at the
hmm
end of the first game, they seem to have drifted apart anyway.
hmm
So like
why?
closure in whatever aspect it calls for, I think
hmm
would be nice. Um There's something going back to Moses. I hope that they like address the whole weirdness with, if Safi's gonna actually be in the story, maybe address the weirdness with that whole thing going on now
Yeah.
that, the game isn't just ending and she's evil and he's gotta be like, "Mm,
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
I hope that they, you know, do something at least. I another prediction. I hope there isn't a. I know there already isn't. I hope there isn't a $50 cat DLC. A $10 DLC upgrade.
Here's one that just came to me, kind of the smashing of the timelines and whatnot
Yeah.
being further reaching than maybe we expected. Imagine, I don't necessarily want this to happen, it's just a
Oh
notion that
God.
sprung to my
Yeah.
head. Imagine Chloe's dad showing up heinously
They do
in the
that
middle
again,
of
I'm
what
gonna
the end of episode
scream, bro.
3.
If they do that again, bro, I'm just gonna like scream at this point. I'd rather. I'd rather, I genuinely would rather like a Scream or, you know, that kind of thing with Jefferson coming back with a knife or
Yeah,
something. I'd rather
yeah.
have that, like a nightmare scenario of that, than the dad coming back, just because we've had that so much in Before the Storm as well, that I'm just like, I'm kind of over it. Um, I think that for the most part, they did a good job with Max in Double Exposure of, you know, her having aged a bit. I think they did a good job of representing a 28-year-old Max Caulfield,
Yeah, I think they
for
did
the
a
most
good
part.
job of feeling like, someone who's someone who was like an awkward teenager growing up to be a
Awkward
adult
adult.
that's pretending to be well adjusted but isn't.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Um, but I do kind of, with the whole back talk and with the whole way that Chloe is like, I do hope there's some progression there. I hope that, you know, Chloe feels well-rounded as a character. I don't want her to just be, like I say, it's like, I hope it isn't just a, hey, I'm just gonna be a snarky asshole who's sneaking around a lot and doing what Max can't because Max is employed here. I'm like, I hope there's a bit more to the dynamic this time. I hope that it's a bit
If
more kind of
I would
well-rounded.
do a 180 on the back talk mechanic if, like, rather than being the, I'm just gonna yell at you until you give me what I want kind of thing. If it was more of like a surgical takedown
Mhm.
of their psyche in the
Yeah,
moment, I'd be like, oh, I don't think I was expecting that from you. Good for you.
totally. Um,
Probably make for better dialogue too.
One thing, this is just because I know they're probably not gonna mention it really. I brought it up a little bit earlier. One thing I'd like to see, especially from my point of view of, you know, Max having lost Chloe, is also, I would like to, even if it's just in little notepads, even if it's in little text messages, I'd like to see how 30-year-old Chloe Price is feeling about the whole Rachel thing, especially after Deck 9 did Before the Storm. I think it's, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
in retrospect, we didn't get too much of that in episode 5 of the original Life is Strange, because there was a lot of other things at play. There was the, you know, the traumatic kind of reveal at the end of episode 4 and a bit of it in episode 5, but not that much. So it's like, I'd be interested to see, regardless of how Chloe feels about that far forward, even if it is just diary notes or stuff like that. There's
Yeah,
always
just
in like
knowing
there's always
how
a
it's
Life is
been.
Strange Nightmare section. There is always a Life is Strange Nightmare section, and I'd much
Yeah,
rather that focuses on stuff like that than the dad thing. I think we've been through
yeah,
the
yeah,
dad thing enough.
yeah. Like Chloe, especially depending on the version, Chloe
Mhm.
had to like sit with that and then die, coming back to
Yeah.
life, and then
There's
still
parts of
that.
Chloe that that never found out
Yeah,
because she died in the bathroom.
yeah,
The idea of having a Chloe have these memories, having this PTSD, and also having the realization of, there might have been parts of her brain that were unaware of the Rachel Amber situation, and also, you know, a lot of that. There's a lot of interesting stuff to go there. Again, I don't know if they'll do it. I've not got much faith in Deck 9, to be honest, for it to not be
yeah.
more of a "I missed you. Let's forget everything that happened." Um, but a man can dream, Hunter. A man can dream.
Yeah.
I hope that they've said that the soundtrack is a mixture of new and old. I hope they don't just mean that they're gonna play Sid Meier's Obstacles at the end of the game and then call it a day. I love Sid Meier's Obstacles, but also I think there's a lot more to Life is Strange than Sid Meier's Obstacles. um, I think the soundtrack for Double Exposure was one of the few shining parts of that game. So I'm.
Yeah, the trailer song, which I need
Mhm.
the full version immediately, was by the same lady who was doing a lot of the music for Double Exposure. So
I hope it has a creepy main menu theme again. That's my dream.
yeah, I want a main menu theme that harasses me every time I pause the game again. Like that, if that's the one thing to carry over from Double Exposure that I hope does, is just the
Hmm.
general sense of tone. Because even
Yeah.
while the story was falling apart, I think that the general vibes of Caledon in the winter was real good.
And I still think they're gonna have that because a lot of the scenes that they've shown in the trailer are set at night. There's a lot of even the scene with Chloe coming back is set in night with the headlights on and everything like that. There was the scene,
Yeah,
like I mentioned earlier, of Max in that room with like a shadow version of her creeping at her in the mirror. There's obviously the weird cult with the masks and all that jazz. There's potential here. We said that it was like there were times in Double Exposure where it was leaning into more of a horror kind of atmosphere with the break-in and stuff like that, where the creepy tension was starting to really work really well for that game.
yeah,
The idea of doppelgangers and all that jazz. Um, it made Caledon feel haunted, and I hope that
yeah, yeah,
Caledon still kind of feels haunted, even in a different season. Autumn is still a
yeah.
creepy season. It can still be a creepy
It
season.
sure
Might be the
is. Yeah.
creepiest of seasons. Um,
There was also like I feel like if you can keep with that and play with the fact that you're changing
mhm.
player characters, that creates a lot of tension depending on where you leave people off with when you're you know playing as each of them. It present a situation where if one is in jeopardy and then do the switcheroo.
Do you know what I'd really like? And because Life is Strange, bringing Life is Strange 1 mechanics back, it kind of gives you a bit of a cheat code because, in the original Life is Strange, there would be a major decision and you could watch the major decision and then rewind it back and then choose the other one if you really wanted to.
Yeah,
I m- my hope is that one of, if not the biggest choice in the game, you have to make as Chloe. That is so you cannot go back on it. Is
yeah,
like that would be something that I would really like from a narrative perspective. It always feels like cheating because you can do something like there was plenty of times as Max where you would, oh, that didn't come out right, rewind that back, and it's
yeah.
like,
Like at least if you have to reload the game to do that, you have to go through you have to sigh and be like, do I really wanna,
and I never have that
etc.
much effort. But if
Yeah,
it's just an L2, if it's just an L2 away, I'm like, I'll L2 all day, mate.
yeah,
You can guarantee that. Like I say, impactful choices. Um, I'm just trying to think of something else. Like I said, I'd like the narrative to be better balanced. Like I'd like an episode 4 that isn't bad. Is that a possibility? To not just be set in a
one
bar
can.
where you're trying to gaslight somebody, that'd be fantastic. Um, like I say, I just want if this is a
An episode
goodbye,
5 that doesn't take too
yeah,
long.
yeah. If this is a goodbye, I want it to feel like actual closure, and I would like you to, you know, like I say, I want those references there, and I don't want it to just be in a glub shito, let's point at it and go, "Oh, look, there's Warren on the feed. Can you believe it? That's crazy." I want it to be more of a like even if it's just little bits and pieces, even if it is just a text message that Chloe had sent to, you know, uh, a random character, you know? I like those little bits and details, and I think for
Yeah.
Double Exposure, they did a really good job on a lot of those. I think that's what they excelled
Oh,
at really, was setting that tone and setting the little, you know, threads. I'd like more of it because there was a lot of stuff where, for example, you
oh,
swapped dimensions and it was still the same feed and stuff like that, where I'm like, you could have done
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You could have done a little bit more with that.
I think a really good one to do for, like, when you're playing as Chloe will be just, because regardless of which version it is, like, sending a message to her mom or something
Yeah.
right there would be good.
Yeah.
'Cause it'd be,
Um,
like, no conversation for years and then be like one of the first things you'd be inclined to do.
yeah. Um, yeah. It's hard, right? I mean, are we over or under on this being, because obviously it's the end of Max and Clay. I don't know if you've seen, but if you've pre-ordered it on the PlayStation Store, like I have, um, in all the branding they keep saying it's the final
They
chapter
had
for
the
Max and Chloe, but the actual tagline on the PlayStation Store is the life or death conclusion to Life is Strange. Full stop is what the
oh my god.
so
Uh,
that is the tagline that they're going for on the PlayStation Store. Is just it is the end of Life is Strange. Are you over or under this being the end of Life is Strange?
I think it'll be pretty dependent on how well it does financially.
I think that's true. You can tell by the price point, the fact that they've chopped $10. A lot of people are like, this game's going to be really short because it's cheaper. And I'm like, I am pretty sure that this game will be shorter than Double Exposure, just
Mm,
because it's been worked on for a shorter period. But I think that price point is more of a, we charge too much for Double Exposure and not enough people bought it. So let's try
yeah.
and do some goodwill. And instead of maybe charging $70 for the Ultimate Edition, let's charge 50
Yeah.
and 40 for the base version instead of 50. Um, I think it's more of a that. I think it's more of a price point thing than it is. I think they want more people in the door because Life is Strange Double Exposure did not sell well at all.
Yeah.
Um,
And then as far as that's the other thing is I could see them going either way, I guess so far. Not having the story in front of me yet. I could see them either way going back on. If it does really well, they'll be like, ah, there's game number 6. Here's Max again.
I'd shit
Or
yourself. Yeah,
yeah.
that'd be.
And or Chloe, depending on what they decide to do. Or if not, I could still see them feasibly maybe coming up with another new character and setting try.
I think, yeah. I think if it sells
Which would be what I
exceptionally
would
well.
prefer if
Mhm.
regardless would be new people, new thing to do, new gimmick.
If I was being honest, um, I love Life is Strange to death. Um, but I do think it's time to at least have a break. I think it is time to kind of put it down for a while. I think in my head, I think this game sells fine. I think it does fine. I don't think it's going to underperform. I don't think it's going to overperform. I think it's just kind of going to be fine.
Yeah.
If anything, I think it's going to sell better than Double Exposure just because it's got Chloe in it. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's going to work. I think the $10 cheaper price tag and having Chloe in it is going to be enough to shift gears in a positive direction. My guess would be, if I was a betting person, my guess would be that this is it, and if and when that Life is Strange TV show gets made, because that's been in the that's been
Oh,
being worked
right,
on.
right.
They may do a remake of the original. That would probably be what
Yeah,
I think they would do. Because they did the remaster, the Arcadia Bay collection, but let's be real, that was not a particularly good um remaster project. Really, the games looked barely different, and a lot of scenes they actually looked worse. Um, so it wouldn't surprise me if that was what the future of Life is Strange was a couple of years of a break, and then when that TV show kind of resurfaces, hey, we've done a remake of the original Life is Strange. Um,
yeah. Be
but
interesting to see if Deck 9 tries anything else outside of the
mm,
series.
it, it's weird, isn't it? Because Life is Strange is almost a cursed kind of IP. Anybody, even the creators of it, when they try and do something else, it just doesn't really work out for them.
Work. Yeah.
It's like I've seen a lot of people because Michael Koch, I don't know Koch, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. One of the original
Oak.
creators of Life is Strange, Koch, one of the original creators of
Mm.
Life is Strange, was to like, oh please, happy to see that Chloe's back or whatever. Play Lost Records, and I'm like, bro, I hate to break it to you, Lost Records is not particularly fantastic either. Um,
Yeah.
there's something about Life is Strange where it's like, I don't know if it was like trying to like get too, yeah, it's like trying to strike lightning twice, but it kind of like they kind of get there sometimes, where it's like True Colors was pretty good, and it was like,
Yeah.
or Tell Me Why was pretty good, um,
Yeah.
but nothing ever kind of hits that, hits as well as that original one did. Um, so I don't know if Deck Nine, from what I've been hearing about Deck Nine, I don't know if there is much of a future for Deck Nine. If I'm honest with you,
Yeah.
they've laid off a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, that's true.
It
I
seems
feel
to be
like
a
we've
bit of a
heard about.
skeleton crew that's been finishing this game, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is the end of Life is Strange. Square Enix has also been very much shifting away from Western IP and audiences.
Yeah, they've been kind
It
of
wouldn't
just.
surprise me if they sell Life is Strange as an IP to somebody at some point. My hope
Be
would,
kind
by
of
the way,
funny.
my hope is they would sell it back to Don't Nod. If I'm honest with you.
That's where I was going. I'd be like, be kind of. Imagine if this was like one of those
Mm.
imagine like this game is the worst possible thing it could
Yeah, yeah.
be.
Hey, there's still a chance.
Square Enix sells it back to Don't Nod. Don't Nod's like, I guess we'll do our own version.
Not
Even
even
though our
that.
own version was the first game. And
Not
I
even
wouldn't be
that.
exactly pleased with that either,
I wouldn't expect
But
them to go
it's just
back
a
to it, to be honest. I just think it'd be nice for them to own their own game again.
yeah, own
If
their
they
own
wanted to
thing.
remake it, they could remake it on their own
They
terms,
could
all
remake
that
it.
jazz. If they wanted to do a new
When
Life is Strange, no one ever technically made Life is Strange 3. They just started subtitling them.
uh,
So if they wanted to start doing the Don't Nod ones or the numbered ones, they could still do that if they wanted to.
they could
Um,
just every other narrative mystery or narrative adventure game that they do doesn't have to be this other thing now
yeah.
because they're still very much just doing Life is Strange with different names
Yeah, yeah.
for all of the positives and negatives that come with each of them.
Yeah, yeah. My final hope and dream, and it might be Hunter, the most impossible of all, is I'd really like for us all as a community, and I don't mean the HGO community or anything like that, I mean just as the Life is Strange community, that we go in with a positive mind and we
To
go
be
in
normal.
and be normal about it. And I think that's the hardest thing to ask for. I
That's the hardest thing to ask any video game community.
It's interesting because we were having this conversation off the podcast before we started, where it's like a lot of people find it hard to kind of separate, like, I like this thing because of this, or this is bad because of this, and it's like, I don't want people to be delusioned by, because Max and Chloe are back together, that means the game is good. Um, I also don't
Or
want people
because
to
it's
be
not the
like,
first game,
because
it's
it's not the
bad.
first game, it's bad. Yeah, exactly. Um, I think, these characters mean a lot to a lot of people. And I think that's, completely valid. But I also think that there is more to stories and there's more to art than, you know, just a character or a character pairing or a romance or something like that. Is I would much rather they fumble the romance of Max and Chloe and we get a really good narrative than for them to
Yeah,
have
if
a pretty good
it,
romance but the story be shit. You know what I mean? Where it's like
yeah, yeah,
I'd rather the narrative and the experience be good. Um and like I say, I just hope people because people lost their absolute minds when Chloe wasn't in double exposure. And yes, the game wasn't fantastic, but I think a lot of people weren't willing to even give it a shot because of that. The first
yeah.
two episodes are
Chloe
brilliant.
being in it was not at all any
Hmm.
of the reasons why it was bad.
Exactly. That was, in fact,
Chloe being there wouldn't have helped the story, I don't
no,
think.
not at all. Um, so I sit there and I'm like, I like my if you want to know what my game plan is, my game plan is when this game comes out, I will be playing it at my own pace like I usually do, but I will not be checking social media. I will not be looking at anything. I don't even want a single opinion on even like how are people feeling about episode 1. I don't want any. I don't want any of it.
Yeah,
Um, and I'd recommend that's what you guys do too. Just do that with regular video games. To be honest, just play it and experience it yourself. Form your own opinion. Um,
yeah, because you know what, people's opinions that aren't mine don't matter anyway.
Yeah, I'd say it's a very valid point, to be honest, isn't it? I think we live in a world where you've got letterboxed and you've got like backlogged and all these other things where it's like everybody's a critic. Everybody is my opinion is the most valid opinion, and here's why. Where at the end of the day, all that really matters is did you like it? Did you enjoy it? Who cares if everybody else
Yeah,
hated it? If you liked it, that's pretty cool.
too often I think we let, or I think I do a good job at not doing this, but I think generally speaking, people let the conversation around a thing dictate how they're feeling about it
A
before
hundred
they've ever
percent.
started it.
100%. The amount of times, and I don't want to toot our own horns here, Hunter, but the amount of times that we have been criticized and have had, hostility towards us for housing an opinion that's different from where the narrative kind of is on something, and then a few years later for it to
Hello, Dragon Age.
swing right back in the other direction. I mean, Elden Ring's another one where we weren't so hot on Elden Ring when it came. We liked it, but we weren't like this
Yeah,
is the second coming. And a couple of years later now, there are a lot more people that are like, well, actually, I actually think I do prefer the more linear kind of FromSoft game. And I'm like, interesting. I was getting literal
remember
death
Deathloop?
threats. I was literally bro, I literally got harassment from Deathloop, and I find that
What?
hilarious,
Oh my
legitimately.
god!
I didn't mention it at the
Ugh.
time because I thought that it would,
If they
bring
if
more
they had just
people to
waited 6
lie.
months, they would have forgot about it like everyone else.
But like this is what happens is everyone's extremely passionate and is extremely hostile towards differing opinions these days. And it's like
Yeah,
a lot of the time, once you let the actual dust settle and you actually sit down a lot, turns out when everyone has time to form their own opinions, people have differing opinions. And it's not just the one kind of leading thought that happens. I think we put a lot of kind of faith in the online kind of influencer market and the review culture of everything to try and dictate what we think the quality of a product is. And a lot of the time, I think you just need to sit down and play it, mate. And this is coming from someone that's
yeah,
written reviews. You just have to kind of sit down, play it, form your own opinions about it.
yeah. I
Um,
don't even like. I don't write my review as a tool for consumers to, make their own choice. I write my review as my review of the experience.
mhm.
If you are someone whose opinions tend to align with mine, I guess maybe that'll give you a good vibe. But,
Well, that's the whole idea, isn't it? Is I think at least from HGO's perspective, is hey, if you like the similar kind of games that we like and enjoy, you can read this review and you can kind of get the idea of hey, I'll probably like this. Hey, Ethan seems to be on a similar wavelength to me and he seems to like this, so maybe I will too. Or, Hunter's got a pretty good eye for this and he's not too hot on this, so I might leave it for a little bit. Or a lot of people, from what I see from our stuff, are people who are playing the games already and just come to see what we think about it and go, oh, well, I actually agree with that or I disagree with that. And I think that's cool too. I think that, the conversation is interesting. It is the hostility, which I was saying this to you earlier, Hunter. I'm 28 years old. I don't have the capacity in me to be passionately hostile towards other people for having a different opinion. I
Yeah,
don't have it in me.
like, man, you want to be mad at me for liking or not liking a game? Get a job.
Dude, legitimately, I mean, like, I feel like we live in a world right now that is very kind of volatile and very hostile to everybody just for the sake of it, really. So it's like,
Yeah,
hey man, if you're cool, I'm cool, Do you want to talk about some video games? I'm happy to. What, you don't like that one? That's cool. I thought it was pretty good, but say la vie, let bygones be bygones. You do what you want, you know what I mean? There are people that
yeah,
loved Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yote, and there's me who sits there going, it was fine, I guess. I'm glad you
they're all
liked it
right.
more than I did. Um,
There are people who thought Donkey Kong Bonanza was the game of the year last year.
Fools! No,
Yeah, yeah,
bad. No, and it's a good game, Hey,
yeah.
I'm sitting there and I'm like, there are plenty of years where I sit there like an absolute goblin and I'm like, hey, 2020, my top 5 list was probably like absolutely mental to some people. My 2020 list was like number 1 Final Fantasy 7 remake, number 2 like a port of Persona 5 because I think Persona 5 is pretty sick. Number 3 would be Crash Bandicoot 4 because I'm an absolute lunatic. You know what I mean? Where it's like for a lot of people, they'll be sitting there and going, "What? You're telling me like Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2 probably weren't in your top 5 for that year?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably weren't." But hey ho,
Both of those didn't even make my top 10 that year.
that's crazy. You're psychotic. You should
Or
seek
wait,
therapy.
wait. No, I think Last of Us 2 was at number 10. I think it was like one or the other for number 10 and I just kind of picked Last of Us 2 because I was able to talk more about it at least at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
That was the literal difference maker there, not necessarily that I really liked one of them more than the other one. It was just
totally,
I got a little bit more to say about this one.
totally. So
Yeah,
yeah, if you take anything from the end of this random uh, little outro,
tangent.
little tangent, is just life's short. You've only got so many years on this planet. Maybe spend a little bit more of that energy on just keeping to yourself, form your own opinions, have a little bit of if you enjoy something, enjoy it, man. If you don't enjoy it,
Yeah,
then fair enough. Move on to the next thing that you will enjoy. I think we spend a lot of time sometimes ruminating. That's what I do a lot of, is ruminating on the negative things that happen in your life or the negative experiences you have on, oh, I hate this. I hated that. This thing was terrible. Maybe
yeah,
start focusing on, hey, that was a good time. I enjoyed that. Or hey, that was a good film. Or do you remember that? Let's try and have a positive mental outlook in 2026. At least until
yeah.
Danganronpa 2 by 2 comes out, and then we can all just start shouting the most
There will
heinous
be you see,
insults.
sometimes you need the thing. You need the acceptable targets for the catharsis, you know?
Oh, dude, there's a really funny
That
I've
feels like a
mentioned.
total 180 from what we were just
Dude,
saying, but I
I
feel like
love
it's
it though. I
true.
love it. There's a good bit by a British comedian called Bob Mortimer. He did a bit on a panel show called Would I Lie to You? And he was talking about how somebody had a massive head and he called him a sniper's dream, and that always genuinely makes me break out into tears. And I feel like Danganronpa
So
2 by
good.
2 is a sniper's dream for a video game to berate, and I'm 100% there for it. I think it's some games it's warranted, Hunter. Some games it's warranted, and as a
Yeah.
unfortunate Danganronpa fan, I'm happily willing to tie up the pinata and go swinging.
That's the thing with the Danganronpa series, I feel like in general, is the fun of a lot of it comes from if you have a couple of other sickos to just hash things out with.
Yeah, scream
Like
at this.
I think I was a lot less joyous about the series when it was just when I played the 2 games in isolation back to back when I played those first 2 the first time.
Mhm. Dude, I'm telling you, Danganronpa is one of those games where it is better when you talk about it than it is when you actually play it. Like,
Yeah.
Danganronpa is the 3 years after you've played it, not the actual game, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's the discussions you have with friends, it's the forcing your slightly normal friend to play it just to laugh at their reaction to it. It's like it's a fun one, right? It's a fun one. Anyway, we've rambled enough, Hunter. We've rambled enough. Links are on screen right now. You can go and follow us on the socials if you want to keep up to date with what we do outside of the podcast. Um, if you have enjoyed this podcast, if you enjoyed this episode, we have done plenty of Life is Strange content that you can go and check out right now. You can go and check out our full impressions of Double Exposure. We have got a review up of Double Exposure. We have our review up on the website for True Colors. We have first impressions for True Colors. We have spoiler casts
There's a
for
spoiler
all of
cast
these
for True
games
Colors.
and Double Exposure. There was a Double Exposure spoiler
Yeah.
cast as well.
Feature-length film.
Feature-length film, yeah. We tend to do that sometimes.
If you like the general orbit of these things, we've got the other Don't Nod games, like review for Lost Records. That's the one.
Mm-hmm. We talked about it in one podcast. I don't remember what podcast it was. It wasn't labeled Lost Records, I can tell you that for a fact.
It was like, it would have been the week that it had come out, the first part, but yeah.
Good luck and Godspeed if you're after that one, my friends. And
There's
hey,
an impression on Tell Me Why somewhere in the very doldrums.
that season that might be season 1 or 2.
That
It
is
might be.
season
It's
1
of them.
Yeah.
But hey ho. And if you're not into narrative adventure games, that's fine. We've got tons of stuff on the YouTube channel or on podcast services. Go and have a scroll. There's literally over 300 episodes of this Forsaken podcast, so you take your pick. Yeah, it's been fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been a pleasure as always. We'll be back same time next week for whatever we have in store. But until then, have an awesome week. Yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Toodaloo.